message sent over to me with the realtor's phone number. I called the realtor, and the rest is history. But the realtor, when I called him back, said, look, we're desperate to get this house emptied as quickly as possible, and we're willing to pay you if you will come and haul these comics away. And I said, well, obviously any comics have value, but I said the older ones are much better than the newer ones. I said, what kind of comics are these? And he said, well, I see these cowboy comics, and there's some comics that say, like crime does not pay, and there's, ha ha, and things like that. And I said, well, those kinds of comics are not worth all that much, but at the same time, maybe you have some Supermans, or maybe you have something like that, and maybe, those might really be worth something. So we arranged that I would go and look at this collection. I think I got the call, or called him on a Tuesday, and I couldn't look at the collection until the following Saturday. And I was really on pins and needles, because when he was telling me, that there were gazillions of comics, even if they were from the 1950s, they could be worth $1.50, $2 each, and multiply that by a carload, and that could be some real money, especially back in those days when new comics were only a quarter. So anyway, I got to the house, and at the house, they took me from the kitchen, and there was a set of stairs that led downstairs. And when I went downstairs, what I saw was about 50 stacks of comics, with about 100 comics in each stack. And the 50 stacks of comics that I saw, it was almost all used comics, stuff from the 1950s, maybe late 40s. And it was sort of a real hodgepodge of titles. They weren't in any kind of order at all. And there were a lot of Westerns. And, so I knew that there was some value there. But at the time that I was talking to them about buying the comics, I actually had no idea of the magnitude of what I was dealing with. And the reason for that is because I went to the first thing I did was I said, look, here's a comic book price guide, take a look. Comics have collector's value. You might have some really significant books there. We don't care. I said, well, if we did a consignment deal where you turned the comics over to me and we split the money after expenses, I said, this could end up being a fair amount of money. He said, no. He said, we want cash. We want cash now. We were thinking that we were going to throw all these away. We don't care. So I ended up making them an offer that was a very low offer. And they said, we'll do it. And it ended up being by the chicken box. Chicken boxes were, they were about the size of two long whites, side by side. And you could get them from grocery stores because all the dead chickens were shipped to them in ice. And because the chickens had to be kept cold and you didn't want your boxes to rot away, these boxes were waxed. They still use them. I think Tyson still uses them to ship some of their chickens. But in the absence of long boxes, chicken boxes were what all comic dealers used for their comic collections. When you went to a convention, everybody was out there with chicken boxes. And so I said, look, I'll pay you X amount per chicken box. And I said that, that's going to use up just about all my money. And they said, well, yeah, we'll do that with you, but you also have to take all the ones in the closet if you agree to do this. And I said, what closet? And Church's office was across from the stairs. And what I hadn't seen was there was this room, and it was about 10 feet long and about 3 feet deep and just your typical basement high. And they opened up the door, which had a padlock on it that they had cut off. And inside the room, all I saw were white edges, because Church had filled this closet with comics starting in the late 1930s